שלום לך, מוטי שריר.
שלום וברכה.
הספר שאתה אוחז ביד, עטיפה צהובה, גשם צהוב.
Yellow Rain, גשם צהוב.
Please share with us, what is the uniqueness of the book?
This book, for the benefit of my English readers and for, of course, my love for my very faithful Hebrew readers, you know that the rule that at least when you want to help yourself or treat yourself, you write about your fears. And yellow rain, or in Hebrew, Geshem Tzahov, is one of my fears. Because whoever knows anything about biological warfare will understand me perfectly. Because yellow rain is a code name for a lethal fungus. A form of fungus that is, as I read it from the book, resistant UV radiation and even heat of 1500 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Which are two, by the way, critical characteristics for biological warfare. And it breaks down chromosomes, it inhibits protein synthesis, and this is a combination that is usually put in like a salad with Fusarium, Aspergillus, and Strachybotyrus. All of them are very, very dangerous and toxic.
Dangerous and toxic because it hurts.
It kills.
It kills.
It kills, and actually there is no antidote for them. But let me go first back to the time that I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and I did my fellowship in glaucoma and in pharmacology and toxicology. And then I was sent as a candidate to do my screenplay writer's course, as you remember. And after I studied screenplay writing, all my orientation switched. Instead of writing books and adapting them into screenplays, I am the opposite case. All my books were born as screenplays. And actually, Yellow Rain still is a screenplay. In essence, you see a book because it's with covers and everything, but you won't have a lot of meditations there, a lot of thinking, a lot of philosophy. It's actually a race against time to save people.
Save people out of this
kind of crisis. The sixth of the 10 plagues of Egypt. In Hebrew, it's called the Shchin. Probably this is the closest to what I'm talking about.
Who is the bad guy?
The bad guy is a cell of terrorists that found a way, and that's the scariest thing, that this thing can be produced, made out of very common, cheap kitchen things that you can do on your own kitchen. On your own kitchen. You don't need a lab with special equipment, and you don't need anything very, very sophisticated. Unless you want, you need protective gloves and protective like astronaut outfit and everything, not to hurt yourself. Because once you inhale this thing, God helps you, or even him or her can't do that. Essentially, it loses its toxicity after 24 hours exposure to oxygen. So if you find the right conditions where you don't have strong winds and you don't have rain, the regular rain, or some other stuffs, and you have clear skies, you can target this thing that comes in a form of aerosol and not bigger than a regular insecticide or something. And you can put it on the sides of a plane, like a small plane like here, and the people down here that are bathing in the beach are dead within few minutes. Let me just, without a spoiler, tell you a little bit about the story.
Yes.
As I said, it's about my fears, and many authors, many book writers will write about their fears. Maybe they don't admit it, but that's the way they try to treat it. For like sort of a rule, if I write about it, it will never happen.
It's like a
It's stupid, but it helps. It sort of takes your thoughts away to something else, to creative writing. The story is about a woman protagonist, a scientist, that after many years of fear of flight, and by the way, I think statistics says that there are 20% at least people, 1 out of 5 people sitting next to you on an airplane is scared of a flight. Essentially, this woman, Dr. Erica Fenton, has a special reason to be scared because she lost her husband and 2 children in a plane crash when they went for a family vacation without her to Colorado, to Durango, for skiing. So she is especially scared of flying, but she, after talking her into it, overcomes her fear, boards a plane in order to introduce her breakthrough work, how to fight biological warfare, how to produce, how to fight it in an international congress in Jerusalem. But she never makes it to the Congress. Actually, things change and she is picked up by a private car who happens to be part of a terrorist group, and she is kept in captivity in an underground cellar, and she is talked into producing this horrible weapon because her husband was a very affluent Palestinian merchant and, as I said, an amateur pilot. And they talk to her about her sentiments for the cause, but she refuses. What I forgot to tell you in the beginning is one of the key characters in this book is her 3rd child, not the 2 twins that died in the crash, but the 3rd child who happens to have Asperger, sort of autism, and he is left with her and with her nanny. And actually, when she boards the plane to go to Israel, this little child called Vincent, you know, after Vincent van Gogh, is kept with Rosita, the Mexican au pair, and she is kept at gunpoint, and in a video conference, they said, unless you do, Dr. Fenton, what we ask you to do, we are not responsible, or you are dooming your child to death. So essentially, she is preparing this for them, and they, I don't want to get into a lot of details and the spoiler. The idea is that a little plane, a little Cessna that carries usually some advertisements will be converted into the vehicle that 2 little like cylinders will be attached to it in the back, and in the proper weather it will be released above beach goers and right on the beach of Tel Aviv.
Wow.
Whoever knows Tel Aviv knows this is Dan Hotel, and this is Frischman Street, and the whole sky will turn yellow. What's the yellow about it? Once this fungus is released into the air, it becomes greasy, yellowish drop, and it drops down and then attached to your skin, gets into your throat, and there is no antidote to it. The death rate is approaching 75–80%, if not more.
And you're saying that also as a doctor?
I'm saying it as a doctor, and I'm basing it on database about previous trials with this horrible thing. People from Russia, or the people from Russia that listen to me, will know about Lebeda, ATA, in Oranienburg, Russia, in World War II. All the youngsters were called by Stalin to join the war effort to fight the Nazis. When they came back to their village, they didn't have enough time to cook everything, so they harvested all the wheat, put it in a big bowl, tried to cook it a bit, ate it, and died.
Wow.
And afterwards, their dead bodies were taken into the Army Institute for Toxicology outside Moscow, and that's how first this vehicle and this weapon, biological weapon, was recognized. Next to it, there was also in the jungles of Laos. On the summer, I'm just reciting from the book, of 75, there were some rumors about Russian new weapon, biological weapon. They tried to run away all these tribes in the little shacks and huts in the northern part of Laos. Whoever went to Laos and was in the northern part of the Mekong River, were not far from, by the way, where Apocalypse Now was filmed, which is an irony, will find a place that was covered in 75 by this yellow rain, this greasy yellow rain, and up to now, we are now in 2023, no tree manages to be alive there. There is no living creature or plant in the area where this yellow rain fell, because parts of it can penetrate the ground and stay there for good.
So many years afterwards.
So many years afterwards. So you can understand the magnitude of the disaster that can follow a thing like that. And the most disastrous thing about it, I want to remind you that it can be produced
at home.
At home, and today with all the websites and all the networks, you can actually go to a manual and check me out, please, and open it to how to make a yellow rain, and God forbid you can get it.
Wow.
The story goes, as I say, the race against time to find when, where, how, and so forth. And I'm not going to spoil that. I'm just going to say that this is a small book on purpose, like 270 pages, that people can carry to an airplane to have escapism, not to forget about other stuff and to know that nothing will happen.
By the way, this book that is international publishing process.
It's the book is available. Good point. The book is available in Hebrew. You can take it from all the Ivrit or from a regular book. In English, it's in a process now of translation and publishing in a non-publishing house. So it will be called Yellow Rain, Geshem Tzahov in Hebrew. And you can understand from the cover what all that means. The only last thing that I wanted to add is that unlike many books that you read, this book has two endings.
Two endings.
Two endings. This is because of my sort of quarrel with my editor, and I will not, one very respectable one. He said the regular end that I chose was too grave.
Too grave.
I mean, grave meaning very grave. Imagine Bloomfield Stadium turns into a huge graveyard.
Wow.
And so from page 190 something and on, the reader is offered a different ending, a more optimistic one.
Oh, thanks.
And in all, as I mentioned before, I introduce it because of my own fear, because I see that progress is racing in a rhythm and in a pace that I'm afraid that we are losing control of it in many, many ways of our lives, in many, many, and not for the better. Progress is not always good.
Moti, Sherיר, with the yellow rain towards the new coming book at the right time within the publishing journey, the translation from Hebrew to English. I want to thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Nathaniel.